Sometimes people stop asking if you're okay, not because they don't care, but because you've become the person who always seems to have everything under control. You're the one who figures things out, the one who stays calm during difficult moments, the one people call when life falls apart, the one who says, "Don't worry, I'll handle it." After a while, everyone begins to believe you're made of something stronger than everyone else. And maybe a small part of you starts believing it too. Until one day, you realize you've become everyone's safe place. But you don't quite remember where yours is. If that feels familiar, then stay here for a little while. Tonight, this conversation is for the people who have spent so much time holding everyone else together that they've quietly forgotten how to care for themselves. Take a slow breath. There is nothing you need to solve right now. Just listen. Being the strong one is rarely something we choose. Often, it begins much earlier than we realize. Maybe you were the responsible child, the one who didn't want to cause trouble, the one who learned to stay quiet because everyone else already seemed overwhelmed. Maybe you became the peacemaker in your family. Or perhaps life simply handed you responsibilities before you were ready. Little by little, you learned that being dependable earned praise. You've got this. I can always count on you. You're so strong. Those words probably came from love. But sometimes they became a role you never realized you had accepted. And roles can be difficult to step away from. As adults, people naturally continue coming to us. Friends ask for advice. Family members lean on us. Colleagues expect us to stay composed. We become the steady tree everyone shelters beneath during the storm. But even the strongest tree needs rain. Even the strongest tree can become tired after standing through endless seasons. Sometimes strength looks beautiful from the outside. Inside, it feels heavy. Perhaps you've noticed yourself saying, "I'm fine," before you've even checked whether it's true. You smile because it's easier than explaining. You solve other people's problems while quietly carrying your own. You remember everyone's birthdays. You ask everyone how they're doing. Yet when your own heart feels full, you aren't quite sure who to call. That kind of loneliness has a different weight. It's not the absence of people. It's the absence of feeling held. Psychologists have found that people who are seen as highly capable often receive less emotional support because others assume they don't need it. It's called the strong person effect. Not because people care less, but because strength can become a disguise that hides our need for comfort. Sometimes we become so good at carrying things that nobody notices how heavy they've become, including ourselves. There is a quiet pressure that comes with always being dependable. You begin measuring your worth by how useful you are. If someone needs help, you say yes. If work needs extra hours, you stay. If a friend is struggling, you answer immediately. If your family needs you, you rearrange your life. Slowly, your calendar fills with everyone else's needs. Meanwhile, your own begin waiting politely in the corner. Not because they matter less, but because you've become used to putting yourself last. And maybe you tell yourself you'll rest after this week, after this project, after this family problem, after this busy season. But life has a funny way of replacing one responsibility with another. The finish line keeps moving. One day becomes 1 month. 1 month becomes 1 year. Then you suddenly realize how tired you've been all along. Sometimes emotional exhaustion doesn't arrive dramatically. It arrives quietly. You become forgetful. You lose interest in things that once brought joy. You feel strangely emotional over small inconveniences. Or perhaps you feel nothing at all. Almost like your heart has been running on low battery for far too long. The human mind was never designed to carry endless pressure without rest. Just like muscles need recovery after lifting something heavy, our emotions need recovery too. Rest isn't laziness. It's maintenance. Think about the ocean. Even the tide knows when to come in and when to go out. Nature never asks itself to give endlessly. The seasons don't apologize for changing. Trees don't feel guilty when they lose their leaves. Everything living understands the rhythm of giving and restoring. Everything except, sometimes, us. Maybe we've confused being strong with never slowing down. But those aren't the same thing. Real strength isn't pretending you're never struggling. Real strength is allowing yourself to be human. Allowing yourself to admit that today felt difficult. Allowing yourself to cry without explaining why. Allowing yourself to say, I actually need help. Those words may feel uncomfortable, especially if you've spent years being everyone's anchor. But anchors aren't meant to carry ships forever. Eventually, they need to be lifted too. Perhaps you've worried that if you stop being the strong one, people will be disappointed. Maybe they'll think you've changed. Maybe they'll think you're weak. But something surprising often happens when we let trusted people see our real selves. Instead of pushing them away, honesty often invites closeness. People don't connect because we're perfect. They connect because we're real. Sometimes the strongest friendships begin the moment someone quietly says, I've actually been having a hard time. And the other person replies, Me too. There is something deeply comforting about discovering you don't have to carry everything alone. If you're listening tonight and you feel exhausted, I want to gently remind you of something. You are valuable long before you become useful. Your kindness is beautiful. Your generosity matters. But your worth has never depended on how much you sacrifice. The people who truly love you would rather have a rested version of you than an endlessly exhausted one. You deserve care too. Not after you've earned it, not after you've finished everything, now. Maybe caring for yourself doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it begins with drinking your tea while it's still warm. Taking a slow walk without checking your phone. Turning down one invitation because your body genuinely needs quiet. Letting someone else solve the problem this time. Answering honestly today has been a little hard. Small acts of self-care often look ordinary, but they quietly tell your nervous system, you matter too. Healing doesn't always begin with big changes. Sometimes it begins with permission. Permission to rest. Permission to disappoint unrealistic expectations. Permission to stop carrying things that were never yours. Permission to simply exist without proving your strength every single day. Imagine carrying a backpack all filled with stones. At first, one stone doesn't feel heavy. Then another, and another. Years pass, and you've forgotten what it feels like to walk without the weight. One day, someone gently reminds you that you don't have to carry every stone. You can put one down, then another. The backpack doesn't become empty overnight, but every small release makes the journey lighter. Perhaps that's what this season is asking of you. Not to become a different person, not to stop caring, simply to carry less. To remember that your heart deserves the same gentleness you've always offered everyone else. There are people who love the version of you that isn't constantly fixing everything. The version that laughs. The version that rests. The version that doesn't always have the answers. The version that simply says, I need someone today. That version deserves love too. Before we finish tonight, I hope you remember this. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to deserve kindness. You don't have to keep proving how strong you are. You have already carried enough. For tonight, let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing slow. Imagine placing everything you've been carrying beside you just for a little while. It will still be there tomorrow. But for these next few moments, you are allowed to simply be. No expectations, no performance, no pressure to hold the whole world together. Just you, breathing, resting, existing. And maybe that's enough for today. Wherever you are right now, I'm glad you made it here. Thank you for listening, liking, and commenting. Please share Soul Planet with someone who you think may need it.